So FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was supposed to have met with the House Intel Committee. He abruptly canceled this. I've just posted an article on my Steemit blog. If you're following me there, if you could leave a like and a comment there, that's greatly appreciated. I'll just briefly read my summary that I've given here. So basically, FBI Director McCabe had abruptly canceled his House Intel questioning that was scheduled for today, just after the emergence of new reports linking officials within the Department of Justice to Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS is the firm which Hillary Clinton's team had paid for the largely discredited now dossier against Donald Trump. Along with the firing of Peter Strzok, talked about this a few days ago, previous video. He was fired. Peter Strzok was fired from special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. The reason that Mueller gave was for sending anti-Trump text messages, and that is what most of the mainstream media is focusing on. But there is growing evidence that the role of Peter Strzok in protecting Clinton and setting off this current investigation against Donald Trump it goes much deeper, and there are other individuals involved, not just Strzok. He was kind of used as a scapegoat, and the excuse that the media is giving is just the tip of the iceberg as well. This also follows a recent release of FBI and DOJ emails praising former acting Attorney General Sally Yates for her defiance of Trump's new administration. This was in response to his travel ban. This is the latest in a flood of information suggesting that a team of key officials within the FBI and DOJ are pushing the current Trump-Russia investigation for political motivations, not to uphold the law, but rather to hide the actual collusion going on between foreign entities, the deep state, and key Democrats, including Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, other members of the political establishment. They're pushing their own collusion investigation, basically, against Trump to cover up their own actions, doing the exact same thing that they're accusing the FBI, Clinton, and these other foreign entities that were involved. Just before the cancellation, it was reported that the wife of top Department of Justice official Bruce Orr had worked for Fusion GPS. This was reports that had just come out late last night. His wife, DOJ official Bruce Orr, worked for GPS last year when they commissioned the dossier. Orr also had previously met Christopher Steele, who is the former British spy that was hired by Fusion to run their investigation against Trump. So these are some pretty important undisclosed ties between the DOJ and this Fusion GPS firm. You have McCabe claiming that he's canceling due to a routine scheduling error, is what he says. Though you have a congressional source that reportedly told the Daily Caller that his excuse was very hard to believe. You also have comments from Ohio Representative Jim Jordan, who's forwarding a theory that Strzok took the largely discredited Trump dossier to bring to the FISA courts, passing it off as legitimate intelligence in order to obtain warrants to spy on the Trump campaign during the 2016 election. Also, some interesting comments, a series of tweets actually from Fox reporter Chad Pergram, and I will just go to his Twitter briefly. Last night, he sent out a series of tweets saying first that FBI's McCabe was expected to appear before the House Intel Committee on Tuesday. He's now being told that he's not coming. Expect subpoenas to compel McCabe to appear this week. McCabe has an Orr problem, he says. In the next tweet, he says congressional sources tell Fox they believe FBI Deputy Director McCabe not coming to the House Intel Committee tomorrow because he'd been asked about Bruce Orr and Orr's wife and their connection to Fusion GPS. There's something far more sinister, he says, going on. Finally, he said Fox is told the House Intelligence Committee will likely subpoena FBI Deputy Director McCabe to appear this week. In addition, will subpoena documents, emails related to McCabe's appearance. So we may get some more information in the near future. Here's a Daily Caller report. They talk a little bit more about this connection to Bruce Orr. Fox had reported, they go back to the original Fox report on Monday, that Nellie Orr worked last year for Fusion GPS, which commissioned the dossier. It's the company that investigated Donald Trump on behalf of the Clinton campaign and the DNC. Bruce Orr, a high-ranking Justice Department official, also has connections to both Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele, the former British spy. Christopher Steele was the former British spy hired by Fusion to conduct this investigation of Trump. Orr met also, now this is notable, he also met prior to the election with Steele. This is his connection to Christopher Steele. He met prior to the election. He met several weeks after Trump's victory with Simpson as well. It remains unclear what Orr discussed during those meetings. John Podesta, this is Glenn Simpson, I think they are talking about here. John Podesta had also had a meeting with Glenn Simpson as well, tying him into this. They say that Orr was stripped of his position as Associate Deputy Attorney General last Wednesday. He still serves as director of the Justice Department's Organized Crime and Drug Enforcement Task Force. Article from Zero Hedge also refers to some of these connections to Orr. They also say that it may be notable the fact that Bruce Orr's wife not only worked for Fusion GPS, but also represented the CIA's Open Source Works group in a 2010 expert working group report on international organized crime, along with Bruce Orr and Fusion GPS co-founder Glenn Simpson. This was a tweet from Josh Kaplan. He says, Nellie Orr, the wife of demoted DOJ official Bruce Orr, he's not only worked for Fusion GPS, but also represented this open source group. Links to this screenshot here. They say, of note, Open Source Works is described as the CIA's in-house open source analysis component devoted to the intelligence analysis of unclassified open source information. So Nellie Orr, the wife of recently demoted Department of Justice official Bruce Orr, worked for both Fusion GPS and the CIA. It's unclear whether her time at Fusion overlapped with her time at the CIA. Some final statements, pretty interesting, from Ohio Representative Jordan. He was one of the people that was questioning Director Chris Wray last week. One other article from Zero Hedge, they talk about a theory that Jordan's pushing forward, where I'll read from this article. It says Representative Jim Jordan has an interesting theory on that question, which he shared during his questioning of FBI Director Chris Wray last week. To summarize, Jordan's theory is that Strzok received the controversial Trump dossier from the Clinton campaign, then went to the FISA courts, where he passed it off as a legitimate piece of intelligence in an effort to obtain the warrants necessary to effectively spy on the Trump campaign. This was a quote from Jordan. He says, here's what I think, Director Wray. I think Peter Strzok, head of counterintelligence at the FBI, Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation and did all the interviews. He was the one that interviewed Cheryl Mills. He interviewed Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, along with other top Clinton lawyers. There's evidence that they helped her destroy a number of her emails. They all miraculously got off the hook. Strzok was the one that had questioned them. Jim Jordan also says Peter Strzok, he's also the guy that was running the Russia investigation at the FBI. Peter Strzok, Mr. Super Agent at the FBI, I think he's the guy who took the application to the FISA court. And if that happened, if you have the FBI working with Democrats' campaign, taking opposition research, dressing it all up and turning it into an intelligence document, that's what they call it, and taking it to the FISA court so they can spy on the other campaign. If that happens, that's as wrong as it gets, he says. So a lot of evidence that this was not just a routine cancellation. You'd have to imagine that McCabe would see the optics of how suspicious this looks, and he would be sure to make this meeting if it was just a non issue as he's trying to pass off. But it's definitely a lot more going on here. We will have more information come out over the coming days. I'll follow up as more info comes out. Again, I've posted this on my Steemit blog. I'll add this video. I'll just edit the blog and add this in here as well. If you could follow me on Steemit, my name is @RealityReader. That's greatly appreciated. I'm also still on Patreon. Thank you everyone that has donated on Patreon. That helps me out greatly, even $1 to patreon.com/realityreader. I will follow up shortly as info comes out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll check back shortly. Thanks.